Cameroon stands at a pivotal and dangerous crossroads. Once a nation known for its quiet endurance and resilience, it now echoes with the urgent cries of citizens demanding justice, accountability, and truth. What began as an election process has spiraled into a national tragedy, a tense and defining struggle between an aging ruler determined to cling to power at any cost and a young generation that refuses to be silenced or ignored. Tonight on Africa Decoded Channel, we bring you an in-depth and fearless examination of the growing unrest gripping Cameroon, the eerie silence surrounding President Paul Biya, and the courageous resistance led by Issa Chiroma Bakari. Stay with us until the end of this report, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more critical, relevant, and fearless updates that expose power and amplify the voices of the unheard. The youth of Cameroon have made their stance clear. Across cities, towns, and villages, young men and women are taking to the streets in peaceful marches, holding up pictures of those who have lost their lives during the disputed 2025 presidential election. Their faces tell a story of pain, loss, and defiance. In their quiet determination, there is power that no tear gas, intimidation, or state machinery can erase. How long will Cameroon continue to bury its future while pretending all is well? How many more young lives must be lost, detained, or silenced before the world finally listens to their calls for change? What Cameroon faces today is not merely a political disagreement, it is a profound moral crisis. Issa Chiroma Bakari, the opposition figure believed to have been robbed of victory, has emerged as a symbol of a movement determined to reclaim the nation's stolen future. His courage has come at an enormous cost. Recently, he revealed that two of his family members, including a respected local chief, had been kidnapped and that his own life remains under serious threat. Yet, despite these dangers, he remains steadfast, preparing for the next phase of peaceful protest. Reports confirm that two family members of Issa Chiroma Bakari, along with his personal chef, were forcibly taken last night in Ga. At the same time, Bakari himself has gone into hiding and is being protected by the army, an action he himself acknowledged with gratitude. This security measure ensures that he is safe for now, allowing him to continue coordinating the next phase of nationwide resistance. The abductions and arrests highlight a chilling reality: political intimidation and violence are tools being used to silence dissent, and those responsible operate with apparent impunity. The details of the perpetrators remain unclear, yet it is widely understood that the forces behind these actions are aligned with the current regime, seeking to stifle any challenge to their authority. Nevertheless, Bakari remains determined to advance his mission, understanding that for a movement to succeed, it must have the support of citizens, youth, politicians, and military personnel alike. The next phase of protest has been announced and is set to unfold from Monday, November 2, continuing through November 5. During this period, Cameroonians are called to implement a total ghost town across the nation. No commerce, no normal activity, no public engagement, just a peaceful yet resolute shutdown, mourning those who lost their lives for daring to demand justice in 2025. This is not merely an act of resistance, it is a declaration that the youth refuse to be silenced and that the memory of those who have been killed or detained will not be forgotten. Bakari is also demanding the immediate release of all individuals who were unlawfully arrested or detained during the election period. This movement is not about chaos, it is about dignity, accountability, and the reclamation of a nation's voice. Meanwhile, the declared winner of the 2025 election, President Paul Biya, now 92 years old, has not made a single public appearance since the results were announced. His prolonged absence raises haunting questions about who truly governs Cameroon today. Can a nation claim to have a functioning democracy when its supposed leader cannot even address the public after a contested election? Or has Cameroon become a shadow state, ruled behind closed doors while ordinary citizens bear the full weight of fear, intimidation, and repression? Despite these challenges, the youth have refused to surrender. Across the country, they continue to gather peacefully, risking their lives to ensure that their voices are heard. They march not with weapons but with images of fallen friends and loved ones, chanting for dignity, justice, and truth. Can any government that fears its own youth legitimately claim authority? Can oppression ever extinguish the determination of a generation that has tasted freedom and truth? The situation in Cameroon is not just political, it is generational. For decades, Paul Biya has ruled with an iron hand, manipulating institutions, silencing opposition, and consolidating power at the expense of the nation's future. Today, his silence in the face of widespread grief speaks louder than any statement could, leaving the country to wrestle with fear, division, and uncertainty. As Issa Cheroma Bakari organizes the next phase of peaceful protests, the world must ask itself, will the international community stand with the people of Cameroon, or will it once again turn away while another African democracy teeters on the edge of collapse? Cameroon's struggle mirrors a larger continental challenge. When leadership becomes a prison and power is wielded to oppress, society suffers, and history records the pain inflicted upon the innocent. The youth of Cameroon are not calling for violence, they are demanding recognition, truth, and accountability. They seek a voice in shaping their nation's destiny, and they refuse to be ignored. The coming days and weeks will determine whether Cameroon sinks deeper into darkness under the weight of authoritarianism or rises to reclaim justice, dignity, and hope. The courage of the country's young generation marks a new dawn, but that dawn comes at a heavy cost. Power may silence some voices, but it cannot suppress an entire generation determined to see justice done. To our viewers, we ask, what do you think about the ongoing silence of Paul Biya? Can Issa Cheroma Bakari genuinely lead Cameroon toward a democratic rebirth? How long should the youth endure before the world finally takes notice and acts? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments section below, because your voice matters. If you value fearless and in-depth analysis like this, support Africa Decoded channel by joining our membership program or sending a super thanks. Your support allows us to continue reporting stories that others are too afraid to cover. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more timely updates, powerful analyses, and comprehensive coverage of Africa's unfolding political realities. Disclaimer: this report is based on verified sources and ongoing events in Cameroon and is intended solely for informational, educational, and analytical purposes. Afro Plus News channel does not condone violence, hate speech, or political bias. All opinions expressed are grounded in facts and public reports, and viewers are encouraged to think critically and draw their own conclusions. Cameroon now finds itself at one of the most critical and dangerous junctures in its modern history. A nation once recognized for its resilience, stability, and quiet endurance is today reverberating with the urgent, unrelenting calls of citizens demanding justice, transparency, and accountability. What was intended to be a routine electoral process has instead devolved into a national crisis, a tragic and defining struggle that pits an aging, entrenched leader desperate to cling to power against a vibrant young generation that refuses to be silenced, marginalized, or ignored. Tonight on Afro Plus News channel, we take you through a detailed, fearless examination of the unrest gripping Cameroon, the unnerving silence of President Paul Biya, and the steadfast, courageous leadership of Issa Cheroma Bakari. Stay with us through this full report, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for ongoing critical updates, incisive analysis, and fearless reporting that holds power to account and amplifies the voices of those too often ignored. The youth of Cameroon have drawn a clear line in the sand. Across major cities, towns, and even remote villages, young men and women are taking to the streets in peaceful, disciplined marches, holding up photographs of those who have died during the highly contested 2025 presidential election. The faces of these young protesters tell a story of sorrow, loss, defiance, and unwavering determination. In their silent courage, there is immense power, power that no tear gas, intimidation, or military enforcement can extinguish. How much longer can Cameroon continue to bury its own future under a facade of calm while chaos and injustice fester beneath the surface? How many more young lives must be silenced, detained, or extinguished before the world finally begins to heed their desperate calls for change? What Cameroon faces today transcends mere political disagreement. It is a profound moral, ethical, and generational crisis. Issa Cheroma Bakari, widely seen as the opposition figure robbed of a legitimate electoral victory, has emerged as the face and symbol of a growing movement determined to reclaim the nation's stolen future. His courage comes at a severe personal cost. Reports indicate that 2 of his family members, including a respected local chief, have been abducted, and his own life remains under continuous threat. Despite these grave dangers, he stands resolute, actively preparing for the next phase of peaceful nationwide protests. Recent developments confirm that 2 of Bakari's family members, along with his personal chef, were forcibly taken last night in Ga, highlighting the lengths to which authorities will go to intimidate opposition voices. Meanwhile, Bakari himself has gone into hiding but is being protected by the military, a security measure he publicly acknowledged with relief and gratitude. This protection allows him to safely coordinate the next stages of peaceful resistance, underscoring the stark reality that political intimidation and violence are now being systematically employed to silence dissent. While the exact perpetrators remain officially unidentified, it is widely understood that these acts are connected to forces aligned with the current regime, intent on crushing any opposition challenge. Yet, Bakari remains undeterred, fully aware that for any movement to succeed, it must have the active support of citizens, the youth, political allies, and even segments of the military. The upcoming phase of protest has been officially announced and is scheduled to take place from Monday, November 2 through November 5. During this period, citizens are urged to enforce a nationwide ghost town, a peaceful shutdown where businesses close, streets remain empty, and normal life comes to a standstill. This act of civil disobedience is not just resistance, it is a solemn and powerful tribute to those who sacrificed their lives for justice during the 2025 election, a public assertion that the youth refused to be silenced and that the memory of those detained or killed will not be erased. Bakari has also called for the immediate release of all individuals unlawfully detained during or in the lead up to the election. This movement is not about inciting chaos or violence, it is about dignity, justice, accountability, and reclaiming a voice for a nation that has been muted for far too long. Meanwhile, the declared winner of the 2025 election, President Paul Biya, now 92 years old, has not made a single public appearance since the announcement of the results. His prolonged and eerie absence raises pressing questions about who actually governs Cameroon and whether the country can truly claim to function as a democracy under a leader who cannot address his people after such a contested election. Has Cameroon become a shadow state, where power is exercised behind closed doors while ordinary citizens are left to endure fear, intimidation, and systemic repression? Despite these daunting circumstances, the youth of Cameroon have refused to yield. Across the nation, young citizens continue to gather peacefully, risking their safety to ensure their voices are heard, carrying images of those who fell defending justice, chanting for truth, accountability, and dignity. How can any government that fears its youth claim legitimacy? Can oppression and terror ever quash a generation that has glimpsed freedom, justice, and the possibility of a better future? Cameroon's current crisis is not just a political battle, it is a generational struggle. For decades, Paul Biya has ruled with an iron fist, manipulating institutions, silencing opposition, and consolidating power at the expense of the country's future. Today, his silence in the face of national grief speaks louder than words, leaving the nation to grapple with fear, division, and profound uncertainty. As Issa Cheroma Bakari prepares to lead the next phase of peaceful protest, the world must ask itself whether it will stand with the people of Cameroon or once again turn away as yet another African democracy faces erosion under authoritarian weight. The struggle in Cameroon is emblematic of a broader continental and global challenge. When leadership becomes a prison and power is wielded to oppress, societies fracture and history records the suffering of the innocent. The youth of Cameroon are not seeking violence or revenge. They are demanding acknowledgement, accountability, and the right to participate in shaping the destiny of their nation. They are demanding that their voices be heard, and they refuse to be ignored. The coming days and weeks will determine whether Cameroon sinks deeper into darkness under the weight of entrenched power or rises to reclaim justice, dignity, and hope. The courage of this generation signals a new dawn, but it is a dawn that comes at a steep cost. Authoritarian power may silence a few voices, but it cannot extinguish an entire generation determined to see justice prevail. To our viewers, we ask, what is your view on Paul Biya's ongoing silence? Do you believe Issa Cheroma Bakari can lead a genuine democratic rebirth in Cameroon? How long should the youth endure before the world finally listens and takes meaningful action? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments section below because your voice is important, and discussion matters. If you value fearless, in-depth, and analytical reporting like this, support Afro Plus News channel by joining our membership program or sending a super thanks. Your support enables us to continue covering stories that others are too afraid to tell, stories that shine a light on injustice and give a platform to the silenced. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for ongoing coverage, timely updates, and detailed analyses of Africa's political realities as they unfold. Disclaimer. This report is based on verified sources and ongoing events in Cameroon and is intended solely for informational, educational, and analytical purposes. Africa Decoded not endorse violence, hate speech, or political bias. All perspectives expressed are grounded in verified facts and public reports. Viewers are encouraged to critically evaluate the information presented and draw their own conclusions.